Hey everyone, Mr. Voikin here, Unit 9, Lesson 3, and now we're going to be taking our slope form of the equation and putting it into what we call the general form. So in the form of ax plus by plus c equals 0. Okay, so let's just move right into it here. So you can see that we've got this question A right here, and we've got y equals 5x minus 8, and it is in the slope y-intercept form, and we want to put it into general form. And what we want to do is keep it so the x is on the one side of the equal sign. Well, everything's on the one side of the equal sign, but we want x to be positive, and we want everything to be integers, so no fractions. So in this case, I know that the x is positive right here, so I'm going to move the y over by subtracting y from both sides. That cancels this side, leaving us with 0 on this side equals 5x minus y minus 8. Now we can leave it in that form right there, or put it like this, rearrange it. 5x minus y minus 8 equals 0. Okay, now the next one is a little bit more complex in the sense that we've got this fraction. Our slope is 2 over 3. So essentially what I need to do here is put a bracket around everything and multiply everything by 3. So y gets multiplied by 3, the slope gets multiplied by 3, and the y-intercept gets multiplied by 3. That gives us 3y equals 2x plus 21. Now I want the x to be positive, so we will move the 3y over by going minus 3y minus 3y. That cancels right there, leaving us with 2x minus 3y plus 21 equals 0. Okay, and the third one is just expanding on what we just did here. We've got two fractions, one in the position of the slope and one in the position of the y-intercept. So I just need to find a common denominator. In this case, it would be 20. So I put brackets around everything, multiply it by 20. So y times 20, the slope times 20, and then the y-intercept times 20. You need to be able to see that. Okay, so y times 20 is 20y equals a negative. Now 20 times 1 divided by 4 gives us 5x, negative 5x, plus 20 times 3 is going to give us 60 divided by 5 is 12. Okay, and now I want to move the x over to the other side, so it's going to be positive. So I'm going to plus 5x and minus 12 from both sides, and I'm going to end up with 5x plus 20y minus 12 equals 0. And all three of those have been converted from the slope-intercept form into the general form. Okay, now let's move down here into class example number 2. It says determine the slope and y-intercept of the following line. So in this case, we can't really pull that from the information that we see in general form, so we need to take it from general form and put it back into the slope-intercept form. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to first rearrange this, and in this case I want the y to be positive, because we're always like positive y equals whatever x plus the constant. Okay, so in this case on A, y is negative, so I'm going to add 5. Whoa, where'd you go? I'm going to add 5y to both sides. And essentially what I've got now is 5y equals 2x plus 25. Okay, now remember we want the y to be equal to 1. So I'm going to divide everything by 5. That cancels, and now I have the value of y equals 2 over 5x plus 5. So in this case, what is the slope? Slope would be 2 over 5. And what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept would be a positive 5. Okay. Let's resize this quickly and move over to the next one. So in this case, the 2y I would leave on this side to keep it positive. And I would move the x over to the other side by subtracting 6x from both sides. And then I would add 15 to both sides and reform the equation like this. Then divide everything by 2. That brings this down to a y equals negative 3x plus 15 over 2. So in this case, the slope is going to be negative 3 or negative 3 over 1, and the y-intercept is going to be 15 over 2. Okay, moving on. Moving on. What's going on here? Okay, number 3, class example 3. We've got some lines, and they have the same y-intercept. And then it says to figure out k. Okay, because it's in general form, I need to convert that over to the slope y-intercept form. So let's deal with this first one first, which is negative 4y. Oops, sorry. Let's write that. Well, we have 3x minus 4y plus 8. What is that? Plus 8 equals, what is going on? Plus 8 equals 0. Okay, so I'm going to add 4y to both sides and end up with 4y equals 3x plus 8. Divide everything by 4. And I'm going to get y equals 3 over 4x plus 2. So the y-intercept is a positive 2. And up here it tells us that they have the same y-intercept. Okay, so let me deal with the second one. We've got 5. That's really crazy. 5x minus k. What is going on? This must be the humidity. Minus ky minus 6 equals 0. So I will put the ky on the other side by adding ky to both sides. So ky equals 5x minus 6. So essentially right now we don't know the value of k. But what would be the value of k so that when I divide everything by k, we're going to end up with 2 right here. So I want that to be a 2. So really what I need to do is divide that by negative 3. Negative 6 divided by negative 3 is going to be 2. So essentially the value of k needs to be negative 3 so that we divide everything by negative 3, and the equation for this will be y equals negative 5 over 3x plus 2, and now they would both have the same y-intercept if k was to equal negative 3. Final answer. Okay. Number 4. Which of the following lines is or are parallel to this line that's given right here? So again, what do we know? In order for a line to be that's perpendicular, in order for it to be parallel, it needs to have the same slope. Whoop. It's actually asking for perpendicular. My bad. So in order for it to be perpendicular, we need to take the slope and invert it and change the sign. So let's first deal with this equation. So 4x minus 2y plus 9 equals 0. We put that into slope-intercept form so we can find the slope. So I'll add 2y to both sides. So I'm going to get 2y equals 4x plus 9. Divide everything by 2. And I get y equals 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2x plus 9 over 2. So the slope is 2, or 2 over 1. So what do I need the new slope to be of these other lines? What does the slope of these other lines need to be if they are going to be perpendicular? Well, again, we need to invert 2 over 1 into 1 over 2. 2 over 1 was positive, so it now needs to be negative. So we just need to determine the slope of these three other lines that are given, and if the slope is a negative 1 over 2, it is perpendicular. So we just got a little bit of work to do. So this one here, I'll keep the 3y right there, equals, and then I'll go negative 6x by subtracting 6x from both sides and add 1 to both sides and divide everything by 3. And I'm left with y equals negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2x. Plus 1 over 3, and negative 2 over 1 is not negative 1 over 2, so this is not perpendicular. Okay, the next one, we'll just resize this. Next one, we've got the 2y, which is already positives there, so we'll keep the 2y right here, and we will subtract x from both sides and add 12 to both sides, then divide everything by 2, and we're left with y equals negative 1 over 2x plus 6, and in this case it is perpendicular. The last one, okay, the 10y is already positive, so we'll leave that there and subtract 5x from both sides. So we've got 10y equals negative 5x. I'm going to divide everything by 10, and we're left with y equals negative 5 over 10 is negative 1 over 2x. So yes, copy that. It is also parallel, or sorry, perpendicular. There we go. And remember, what we're really looking at here is to make sure that the slope is the same and the same right there. Okay, class example number 5. Write an equation of a line that is perpendicular to this and has the same y-intercept as the second one. So let's deal with this first one. So we have 2x plus 5y minus 7 equals 0. So 5y is going to equal, subtract 2x from both sides, add 7 to both sides, and divide everything by 5. And we get y equals negative 2 over 5x plus 7 over 5. That is this one right here, and it says that it's perpendicular to that. So we need to take this slope and create a new slope, which is going to be equal to flipped, and was negative now becomes positive. So with our new equation, we've got y equals mx plus b. We've just figured out in order for it to be perpendicular, the slope needs to be 5 over 2. So the m should be 5 over 2. Now let's take this second equation right here, and we're going to use its y-intercept to put into the position of b right there of our new equation. Okay, so we have 2x plus y minus 6 equals 0. The y is already positive, so we're going to subtract 2x from both sides, add 6 to both sides, and because the value of y is already 1, I don't need to divide anything through here, and we've got a slope which is our b, is equal to 6. So essentially this b needs to change to a positive 6, and there is our final answer. Last class example, number 6. It says that we got a student that's analyzing a line right here, and they made 3 statements. So they said that this line has a slope of 5. Well, remember what I need to do is take this original one right here, it's going to be 2y equals 5x plus 12, divide everything by 2 so that the y equals 1, and so my slope is 5 over 2x plus 6. So it is not 5. That statement number 1 is false. So which of the, if you look at the A, B, C, D choices, which ones are true, 1 and 2? Well, we already know that 1 is false, so it cannot be A, cannot be B. Could be C or D. D is sort of confusing the way they've written that, but let's move on to statement number 2. The line is parallel to this line 10x minus 4y plus 13 equals 0. So if it's parallel, it's going to have the same slope. And I know that line up above has a slope of 5 over 2. So if I take this one right here and I determine the slope, if it's 5 over 2, then that statement is true. It is parallel. So let's check this out. So we're starting off with a 10x minus 4y plus 13 equals 0. The y is negative, so I got to move it to the other side by adding 4y to both sides. So I end up with 4y equals 10x plus 13, and then divide everything by 4. And that leaves me with y equals 10 over 4. 2 can divide into both those, so we get 5 over 2x plus 13 over 4. So its slope is 5 over 2. The original line has a slope of 5 over 2, which indicates that it is parallel. Statement number 2 is true. And it says that the line passes through points -2 and 1. Well, -2 is our x value and 1 is our y value. So all we need to do here is take our original equation, which is 2y equals 5x plus 12. So if you grab that set of coordinates, the x is -2. So essentially this x I'm going to replace with -2, and the y is a 1, so I would replace that y with 1, and then everything else just stays the same. And if what we have on the left equals whatever's on the right, then we're happy. Okay, so 2 on the left, 2 times 1 is 2. Does that equal whatever's on the right? 5 times -2 is -10. -10 plus 12 is 2. 2 equals 2. That is true. So yes, statement number 3 is also true, which means C is true, that 2 and 3 only are true. I don't like this question because some other combination of statements 1, 2, and 3, I guess that could be true as well. We're saying 1 is false, 2 is true, and 3 is true. So really C and D, well, bad question. But you should understand what I've done there. And now you've got enough skills to move into the assignment, page 573. See you in class.